All right, so let's see how we can integrate React with some third-party API. Right? In this particular case, we're going to integrate it with a service called OMDB as opposed to IMDb. This is the Open Movie Database API, and we're going to create a small React client that can go off and talk to a third-party database, right? That is exposing that a whole bunch of movie data and TV data, through an API, right? You can access the key. You can apply for your own key at omdbapi.com, right? I believe they have a free tier as well. The only difference is how many queries you can make in one day, right? So I think it's 500 queries a day or 1,000 queries a day, and there's a whole bunch of levels. So I have my own key. Please do not share or use my own key. Once you apply to it, they'll email you the key, and then just keep that close at hand. Right. So to use the API, you use basically this URL over here. It's http://www.omdbapi.com, and then you can provide a query string, right? That starts with a query string API key, your query, not mine, and then followed by any number of parameters, right? If you know the ID of the movie, you can provide it at the end. It says I equal and the IMDb ID of the movie, and then it'll respond to you with a big JSON object, information about that particular movie. Right? In this case, I believe it's Guardians of the Galaxy, and it'll have there the director, the cast, some plot, a whole bunch of pictures and whatnot. Yes? Or you can also do some open-ended queries. You can say S equal and then some search string. Right? It'll try to parse it and make sense out of it. Here I type Batman, and it comes back here with an array. Well, it's an object, and that object is an array. Okay? It'll come back with an array in the search object, and in there it'll display 10 objects that match your criteria. Right? So 10 Batman movies, right? Or that have Batman in the title somewhere. Yes? Okay. Now these objects are smaller than the other object. Right? This one just have a summary. It'll have the title of the movie. It'll have a thumbnail. It'll have the ID. And I think that's it, just 3 or 4 fields. If you want more information, right, you can use the other API. You can use this API. You can grab the ID from here, grab the ID, and then use it in the second query. Yes? Right? In the second query, and then it'll retrieve a bigger object with lots and lots of more detail about that object, right? Including Rotten Tomatoes and a whole bunch of other things about reviews and whatnot. Yes? Okay? So those 2 queries, being able to retrieve multiple responses, right, and be able to retrieve a single object, that's the extent of the assignment. Being able to retrieve these 2, and render them. Create some kind of rendering. It doesn't have to look pretty, right? It doesn't have to be the final product, but at least some demonstration that you can access some data remotely and that you can render it locally. Yes? Okay. All right, so let's actually create a React or a REST client, right, from scratch. All right, so we already installed Create React App, so I'm not going to do that again. We already created an application, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to use the same one that we're using for this course. Start. Okay, we're already there. Right, let's create a. So this already it's creating something from scratch, a hello world. Well, I'm not going to do that either. It installs Bootstrap. Let's create a component that allows me to search for a movie. Okay. All right. So let's create a movie client. Let's do that here at a component. I'm going to create maybe a different directory. I'll call it the OMDB. And in here, we'll do an OMDB client. We'll call it OMDB client. And this will be It will be an import React from React, and this will be a export default class OMDB client extends React.component. And this will have a constructor. Oh, extends. This will be a constructor with props, perhaps props, and super props. And then this will render something like return, and this will render h1, the OMDB client. All right. And here in the whiteboard, since whiteboard is my entry point, I'm going to maybe create an example here that goes to OMDB, and I'm just going to add some spaces here because it's bugging me earlier. And this is going to OMDB. All right. And if I go there, I'm going to navigate to our brand new component path. If it says OMDB, I'm going to navigate to the component OMDB client. Okay. Let's see. What is it complaining about? Routes where? Oh, route. Thank you. Routes. What am I missing? Component. Did I import it? I thought I. Oh, I didn't import it. I thought I imported it. So import OMDB client from. We need to go up one, down to OMDB client. All right, excellent. So I should be able to navigate there now. Where are you? Here. If I go to OMDB, I am in the OMDB client. Yes? All right. So I'm going to move this here. So let's create a client that allows me to search movies first. Right? Let's search some movies. And maybe what we want here is maybe like a search on the left-hand side and the results on the right-hand side, or something like that. Right? So let's look at the search first. Search movies. All right, so let's create a brand new client, a brand new class here. Under here, we'll say that this is the search component, so search movie. So new search movie. And we'll paste that in there. We'll need to import all that. Maybe I can copy that from somewhere else. Paste that. We'll extend React, yada, 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 okay, and then we'll need to export this. Export default search movie. Right? So once we have that, we can now bring that search movie into our client, right? So let's do that in our OMDB client. We can bring, let's wrap this into one single div. And we can bring the new search movie here. And right now, does it do anything? Just search movies, right? So let's see. There's our search movie. Oh, there we go. Our search movie. Once we have our search movie, let's put maybe an input field that we can type the name of the movie that we want to search. Maybe put up instead of I'm going to copy this. This is straight from Bootstrap, right? That's going to allow me to put an input field on the left-hand side and a button on the right-hand side. So it'll look professional, right? So search movies. Probably, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. There we go. And as I render it, notice that it'll give me, right? It allows me to put together an input field alongside with a button. All right. We need in the input field, what we'd like to be able to do is tie that keyword that I'm typing to some state variable that I can change as I go. Yes. Perhaps store that in my search movie in my constructor here. Constructor maintain my own little state. Oh, I need to do super, and we say this dot states maybe the keyword that I'm searching. So keyword that at the beginning will be no keyword whatsoever, right? But as I type, right, I like to bind it to this input field over here. So this might be value. It might be tied to this dot state dot keyword. And as I change it, I can maybe update it. I say on change, I'm going to notify this dot keyword keyword changed, right? Which it's implemented in a local function called maybe same thing, keyword changed, and this will be an event. Which for now, let's just print it out to see what we got. Event. Event probably will need the target. Yes, the event is it what I forget. Console log event. Was it event.target? I forget. Target.value. Let's try it out. There's my console. And as I type, it doesn't work. Wait, what? Is it calling it? Keyword. This dot state keyword changed. Keyword changed. Are you even changing? Okay, so it is calling it. What is it displaying? What is it? What is it? Am I missing? I'm sorry? Let me see the event that I'm receiving. Current target. So current target should be able to grab me the value. Oh, I thought it was target. Dot target. There's a target. And I should be able to retrieve the value. Dot value. Oh, there they are. Okay. All right. So once I have the value, right, I can just change the state. I can say, this dot set state. I want to change the keyword to be equal to the value of this thing, right? Let's see if we refresh. Okay, now I can type it, and presumably now I have the value available to me. Only when I click on search, I like to do the actual search. So on the button, right, I'd like to tie this to an onClick that will call a function called this.search movie, right? So I was going to call here the search movie here, and I don't have any arguments. But I like to make sure that I have the title ready to search. So we do a console log. Make sure that we have the this.state.keyword. Let's print it. Let's see. We do search. Notice that indeed we have the title that we can search. Everybody okay? All right. Excellent. So now that we have that, we'd like to actually do the query. So how do we hit the server, right? So we're going to use the same technique that we used earlier, right, to go and fetch users. Remember that? Right? In that case, we were hitting our own server. Right? In this case, we're not going to hit our own server. We're going to go and fetch it from some other server. Right? And the URL, right, as I was mentioning earlier, the URL looks very much like this. There it is, right? It's this search here. Right? And so what we I believe what we showed you how to do this is as follows, right? We did something like fetch, right? Fetch, and fetch allowed you to provide a URL. Yes. Here's a URL. All right, let's do that. Let's just do that. If we do that, and we if we look at the network, and we type Batman. And we do click on search. Notice that what happened here. Notice that it did go out. it went out to the API key, and it says unauthorized because my key, I never put my key in there, right? So there was some response saying, oops, sorry, invalid key. But I am getting something from the server, and I don't remember my key. I'm going to have to look it up on my email. And close your eyes. So there's a OMDB API key. So yeah, there's my key, and they make it so that you can query right away, see if it works. And that's my key right here that you're not looking at. So I'm grabbing that and I'm pasting it here and replacing it with my own key. And let's see if we can do this again. So if I move this over a little bit, maybe to the right-hand side, and I do the console and clear this, so we can say, whatever, Batman. It doesn't matter, right? It's hard-coded. And we can do a search. I never printed anything on the console, actually. Let's look at the network. So the network did go, and this is what came back from the server. This is the response. We're looking at it a little prettier. The response is successful. There are a total of 363 movies and TV shows that are associated to this Batman keyword, right? And we can look at the first 10 inside of the search. So you got this search, right? And we can look at the Batman Begins, the title, the type of whether there's a movie or TV series, the year, and then the IMDb. The IMDb can then be used to go fetch more info about that one particular movie, right? But for now, let's just render this. And so what do we want to do here? So the search movie, if you remember, this was a promise, right? What came back. Ideally, what I'd like to be able to do is register here a function that could make sense out of this response. Yes. So I'm going to call a function called render movies, right? And it'll function that is down here. Would be something like render movies here, which is render movies. Let's see what comes back here. Movies. And for now, we're just going to spit it out into the console. We're going to say console log movies. See if we get that at all, right? Oh, so this should be this dot render movies, right? This dot render movies. All right, let's see. Let's re-render. Let's do a search again. And let's see in the console. Indeed, the console came back. There's a response. All right, remember that what comes back is the raw response, including cookies, headers, the body, everything, right? The status, which we don't really care about. We only really want to retrieve just the body, right? So before we do that, probably what we need to do is do a so this is the raw response, which we want to parse. We want to parse and do a response.json. That's the data that we want to send over. And then we want to send it over to the render movies. Render movies. Render movies is not. Oh, that's in the render movies. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Now we have the search, right? There's our objects that we can print out to the console. Everybody okay? Right? All right, but we don't want to print to the console, right? What we want to do is perhaps, right, keep track of the movies here. We can say maybe movies as an empty array. We want to change the state, right? And if that state changes, we would like to be able to render it. Okay? So what we could do here, instead of just rendering movies, what we could do here is we could say something like, actually, this is not movies, right? This is what? Notice what we're getting back. It's an object called search that contains the arrays. Yes? Right? So this is not really the movies. This is like the search response, right? And really what we want is the movies instead of that search. Okay, so what we're going to do, so let's not just do console. What we can do is just say this.state or setState. I want to replace this. I want to replace this movie state right? We want to say, I want to change the movies. I want it to be equal to what this search came back as, right? Right? So do we? Is that? Oops! Now it's not rendering. Right. We removed the console. Right. So presumably the movies are now rendered in there, right? Because it changed, we can now iterate over them. So down below here, we could perhaps iterate over the movies in that state. We can say this.state.movies. Presumably that's an array that was originally empty, right? And that it was populated later on with something. And we're just going to map through this. We're going to iterate over this. And presumably these are the movies, the individual movies. And we're just going to return movie.title. Right, see what that returns. Oops. What happened here? Search movie, yada, yada, yada. Oncar state is not a function. This.state.movies.map. This.state.movies.map. Movie. Wait a minute. Let me see if this has a length. That didn't seem to work. Oh, maybe this is a response. Response.search. Maybe that's an array. Okay. Yes. I was one level up too high. Right. I had to go down to the search object in there. Right. It was an object with the search, and the search had an array. Right. I thought the whole thing was just an object and then the array. All right. So yeah, there's 10 there. So now we can iterate over this, right? We can say, let's try that again. So now we can say map. Here's our movie. And what do we do with that movie? Maybe we put it in a UL, right? With a class lists group. And we close the UL here. And internally, with every single movie, as we iterate over each movie, we're going to return a brand new LI, right? And that LI might contain the movie title, movie.title, right? And also styled, class with a list group item. So it looks pretty. So let's look at that. So let's do a search, and it didn't work. Wait, what? Oh, I think it's capital title. Also, we're missing the key. So as a key, we can just use the index for now. We can use index. All right, let's try it out. Search. All right, there it is. So we have Batman Begins, Batman versus Superman, right? All these, because it's hard-coded, right? We're using a hard-coded Batman. Instead of hard-coding it, ideally we could grab it from the keyword, right? So that this search over here, instead of using sBatman hard-coded, we could instead use our brand new backtick. Right? We could use that brand new backtick, and then instead of using this Batman backtick, so we could make this an expression, right? And the value of this is what? Is this keyword, right? The keyword that we've been typing. Right, and that's in the state. So this dot state dot keyword, right, that keyword. Right, if we refresh, this could be avatar search. There it is, Avatar and the Last Airbender, right, or Titanic. Right, there it is. It works for Titanic, right, and I have a thing for James Cameron. All right, excellent. So there it is. So that's the the first half of a prototype, right, that works towards being able to retrieve some query from some API. The second half is being able to click on one of these and fetching more info about that one particular object. Make sense?